Alright. Yarok Field. This is my standard deck of choice for the MCQ this weekend on Arena. We're still working on some of the details, especially in the sideboard, but the main deck's pretty trim at this point. It's a bunch of 4-ofs, a pair of Disfigure to hedge aggro, a Nexus of Fate to make sure we don't accidentally deck out, and then some other stuff. Can you have your sword back? Definitely, Griffin said. Let's go ahead and dive on into the rank queue with this bad mamma jamma and see how it goes. Huh. I think this is actually a mulligan, because multiple trophies early tends to not be what you want to be doing. This hand is super reasonable. We're going to keep this and bottom a Temple of Mystery here. Our turn 1 will probably be Forest Grazer. Bottoming the Temple there makes a lot of sense, because ideally we want our first 7 land drops to all have different names, so we can trigger Field of the Dead ASAP. Gonna bottom a non-spell there. Would love to draw a 3-drop next turn. Risen Reef or Elvish Reclaimer would be ideal. Growth Spiral's not a bad pickup though, honestly. I'm gonna cast this to start, because I could draw another 2-drop, right? That's pretty punishing for doing it at sorcery speed there. That's really unfortunate. Yeah, I agree, Mega. This deck is super consistent. It's a big part of the appeal of it, I agree. Wonder if they're playing Sultai Kefnet? Yeah, they named God Eternal Kefnet. I bet this matchup is okay for us. I feel like our deck tends to come out ahead in a lot of the aggressive matchups, or a lot of the mid-range control matchups. Arch of Orazca here is an excellent rip. Hey, what's going on, Aether Violet? I appreciate the tier 2 resub. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Hope you're having a good one wherever you are.
To the library.
They have Contempt in their main deck. That's interesting. Tori Bressett, thank you for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Alright, so this is land number 7 with a different name, so I guess we'll just do this. Full Metal Adept, happy 26 months. I managed to date to the GP this past week with Mono Red Phoenix. A lot of my critical thinking skills and lines add to reach watching your stream, so thanks, and here's to many more months. Thank you for the over 2 years of support, Full Metal. I appreciate it. Big 4-0, Justin Mack coming in hot. Welcome back. I don't think I saw a pop-up butterfly. Sometimes, if you're on desktop, especially, you have to refresh the browser to send the notification through after you resub. Which is switched a little weird on occasion. So one of the things to keep in mind when we're playing against the opponent's deck is that their only sweeper is like Ritual Assault or Cry. So I don't really have to be shy about overextending these 5-drops because they're not going to have a single card that gets rid of them, which is great. Oh, it was before the stream. Well, thanks for re-upping and welcome back. You're right. It totally was 2 hours ago. Sorry, I had a bit of a late start today. I would love to get a basic land. Thank you. Alright, what do we want to get back here? Is it just Growth Spiral? I feel like it's probably just Growth Spiral, right? Oh, I should have gotten... I already had a forest. I think it's just Growth Spiral. Like, Field Rune, they don't have a Search for Azcanta yet. So I think I just do this. I wouldn't be super surprised if we see, like, Legion's End happen here to clean up the zombies. If I'm Growth Spiraling, do I even want to? You know, I'm actually just going to decline this, because if you decline to activate the ability, what that means is the Cavalier stays in the bin, and that means when this Cavalier dies, I can get another Cavalier, which is sweet. Do I want to decline this to leave a basic in my deck for the next trophy? I think I do, actually. Nah, that's probably too cheeky. Yeah, there's the Legion's End that we're expecting. Yeah, like, and part of the reason to, like, grab the basic is not only could we potentially draw the basic, but this Cavalier is going to double trigger and flip over 10 cards. And if we're flipping over 10 cards, we're probably going to mill past the basic, right? Looking for another copy of Field of Dead here. It's a little unfortunate. I'm just gonna, you know, I'm gonna bottom that because I'm not gonna attack it and offer this trade here. And I think I want to not hold cards in my hand because they're definitely a 4 Thought Erasure deck, right? So like holding a backup Yarok in my hand just potentially gives them live hits that are otherwise dead. So we have the City's Blessing here, and we have plenty of land thanks to this double trigger. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we can activate this until I have 5 lands left, which is great. Now they tapped all their green mana, which means they can't trophy here. Hopefully we see them just cash in the Tamiyo here.
I have learned much from my ancestors.
Good golly. Other 3 copies of Field are being real shy. Although trying to win this game without Field of the Dead is probably good practice for when we get Unmoored Ego in the post-board games. So, like, there were only 29 cards in our deck there, and we had 10 looks to find another 3 copies of Field. So pretty unfortunate there. I appreciate the 2 months, Dr. Derpinator. Thanks for keeping me around. Subs like that pay my mortgage, so thanks for keeping me employed. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your week. Yep. And activate this Arc at the end of their turn. Alright, so pretty likely to put a bunch of zomboys and girls into play here. And again, the opponent's archetype doesn't have generic sweepers like Kaya's Wrath, so I don't really get punished for extending like this because they can clear my zombies with things like Ritualist and Legion's End, but they're not going to clear the rest of the squad here. And then I think I'm actually just going to go ahead and attack with this Cavalier of Thorns, because if they want to trade God Eternal Kefnet for the Cavalier, I get to put that other Cavalier from earlier back on top of my deck, which is ideal. Checking in for the 12th month in a row. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Appreciate you keeping me around. I already got one. The way the notifications line up, I end up giving like half the people swords like before the announcement happens because it changes their icon. Speaking of, my icon change yet? I'll have a four-year subscriber badge on my own channel here soon, so we'll be partnered for 4 years real soon. And she's gone, Jim. What if they blocked the Cavalier to get 2 scribes looking for answer? I think that's fine. I think I'm okay with that. Get to activate this Arc and end of turn again here. A Nexus of Fate is probably a GG draw. I get a few shots at that. I did listen to the Bernie Rogan podcast. I actually listened to, after I listened to the Bernie one, I listened to Yang, and then I listened to some of Tulsi as well. Although I didn't complete that one yet, because the Tulsi and Yang ones were much longer. We have ticked up zone to 4 there. I don't... Yes, I miss lethal. You're right. I totally could have ticked zone to 4, which would have killed them. Because they would have gone block and then taken exactly 6. I was so focused on the Nexus line that I just didn't think about that. So I'm actually going to go ahead and hold this other Rejuvenator in my hand here, I think. Although if they go to 1 here, maybe I don't. If they're going to 1, I should play this out as another lethal threat, right? Yeah, I don't think they really have catch-up mechanics from this point. And they just double bottom, so it's less likely I'm getting swept next turn. Yeah, and I can play this and still have enough mana to crank this to 4, so that seems appealing. All right, so you should always board in Ceratops against other decks that have, you should always board in Ceratops against decks that are going to be unmoored egoing you because you want to diversify your threats in those matchups. The MCQ is on Saturday, so 5 days. What do I want my other cards to be in this matchup? Is it, this is, all right, and I know what the answer is, 'cause I'm about to ask Twitch chat. Am I supposed to bring in ego to ego their ego just because none of these other cards are good? Is that just like, that's like peak Twitch chat, right? Is like, bring in ego to ego their ego? Because like, I really feel they can never, I feel like they can never win if I have Field of the Deads in play. And like, I don't, like, none of these other cards are very good. Like, I could bring in Cast Down to like kill Cavaliers, or I could bring in Noxious Grasp to bring in, and I mean, like, their deck's not that threat dense either. So like, if they ego me before I draw an ego, I can just like ego their Cavaliers. And like, if we take their Cavaliers and their Kefnits, they're out of ways to win the game, right? So I feel like egoing their egos is like a fine game plan, and like in the event they ego us first, we like still have a fine game plan. Egoing their ego is Galaxy Braid play, right? Thanks for the 7 months, Dallas. I appreciate it. Yeah, I agree. I think because their win cons are so few and far between that like ego still ends up having text even when it's not taking their egos away. I think that's reasonable. They mulliganed low here. So there is some merit to mulliganing. I think another thing you want to do too in these matchups is post board, you should be mulliganing close hands that don't contain, oh, you know what? I should have played this, right? I was just saying, I just drew it too, and I talked myself into holding up such. We're gonna get egoed. Sweet, all right. So I should have played this out because ego doesn't take the ones that are in play. So you should play these. That was a mis-sequencing on my part. I thought like, oh, if they play Narset, I want to trophy her. But I definitely should have played this to get it down in play before they can ego me. And like, obviously they can trophy it in play, but that's going to happen regardless. I would like to just insulate some number of fields from getting egoed. Wow, get wrecked. Because I have field in play here already, we might see them take Cavalier here, yeah. Squee, Goblin Nabob, thank you for the 19 months support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. And like, even if they trophy this Yarok here, if they trophy the Yarok, it's accelerating me into activating the field. So like, I'm kind of okay with that. And playing this out means it takes longer for me to start activating them, but getting the second field in play is really good against both trophy and another unmoored ego from the opponent. So I think I should prioritize getting my egos into play sooner as opposed to prioritizing activating them sooner. Any cards that allow you to pull things from exile, they exist in Magic in general, but usually they aren't particularly good. I don't have any other spells. I'm just gonna like randomly trophy a dual land tier. Like, put them off a green source. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this arc is going to make 2 zombies, which then those 2 zombies will put me on. Will put me on enough permanence to start activating the arc, which is sweet. Bebop Sax, man. Thank you for the 5 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. This is such a clean interaction. Just like, yep. And then I only have 2 untapped after I activate this. So rather than activate it and get like a 3-drop stuck in my hand, I'm just going to activate it on their end step. I don't want a spell caught in my hand to like allow them to snag it. Yeah, they're conceding. They're dead at this point. They could flail around for a bit. Avid YouTube watcher dropping off my sub. Thanks for making great content. Thanks for the 5 months of support, Bebop. For some of my regulars, I know I started late today. I apologize for that, but I did stream on Saturday if you didn't catch that. So after I'm done today, if you didn't catch my Saturday stream, that's all up on YouTube as everything does. Ninja Killer, cashing in those Bezo bucks again. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Cheryl Alchemist, thank you for the brand new Prime support. Hope your Monday is kicking off swell to your week. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Thanks for keeping me around. That throws my daily soul. I promise I'll be on at 7 a.m. tomorrow. The Saturday stream was a direct competition with the Grand Prix. Yeah, exactly. Turn 1, tapped Hallowed Fountain. Is it crazy to shock this in so I can disfigure something on 2? I feel like it's not. And I feel like against Hallowed Fountain, there's a good chance my health total doesn't matter. So, I'm going to go ahead and shock this in and hold up Disfigure. Now, I'm going to play Basic Forest here, and Basic Forest, my second land, is important because it means that if I Growth Spiral and put this into play, I get to cast Disfigure as well, which is nice. Veto me, Poppy, veto me. Playing some Yarok Field in the Singleton. I'm certain that Yarok or Golos is going to be A+ in Commander for Brawl. Almost certainly. Grab the Jungle Hallowed here. Securing my 3rd green source is important for my deck that has 4 Cavaliers in it. One of the people in the subs Discord over the weekend had commented on that they felt that the deck's a little green light, and it's definitely a little green light in comparison to some of the other... Definitely a little green light compared to like some of the raw green counts in other decks, but I also think that with things like Elvish Rejuvenator, if you aggressively fetch extra green, you're usually fine. Your wallet and wild cards are empty because of this deck.
I am not going. Keep up the pace.
Alright, so there's a good clean trophy target there. Again, in this matchup, you basically just want to do your best to keep their sustained sources of card advantage off the table. So while things like Narset and 3-mana Teferi are annoying, those aren't really the things you want to prioritize killing, because the things that you want to be taking off the table are things like Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, that draw them an extra card every single turn. Forgot how putrid ads are. Cheers to 1/3 of sword. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, I don't know how people watch. I guess they must use ad block, right? Like watching streams that have 6 minutes of ads per hour without being subbed, just like, sounds awful. Main deck Noxious Grasp, yikes. HG Lock, thank you for the 3rd of a year support, I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. So, and this is the point of the game where just like we're in a great spot. Like any land that we don't already have in play is a good draw here. Any spell is obviously a good draw because it'll be a spell. Dealer's Choice, I have two good 5-drops. I assume we'll see them take Cavalier of Thorns because it generates value, a little bit of value when it dies. But at the same time, having a Cavalier in our bin isn't really that big of a deal because the next Cavalier just gets it back. I can't think of a funny message this month about how I hate that I have to put something here. Thanks for the 7 months of support there, Rexbox. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Get like Disdainful Stroke to be sad here. Second Field of the Dead. Field versus Memorial is really interesting because Memorial makes a zombie and eventually draws cards. I feel like I want the Memorial because it cashes in. I feel like if this was any other non-utility land, I would get the second Field of the Dead because having more fields in this matchup is good in the long term. But because it's a utility land explicitly that also makes a zombie now, I think it's better to get the Memorial. Yeah, having a draw 2 in play. Like I think like the only lands I take over a field there are like Memorial and Arc. Arc is like quietly just like one of the best cards in your deck in these grindy matchups. Wow, that's just a jump block deal. And I think before I crack this Memorial, I just want to start making dorks. Ding. A zombie in the hand is better than 2 in the bush. I don't know if that saying actually goes that way.
No time for a break.
I think understanding the power level of this deck versus control is really difficult to someone new to the deck because you feel like you're behind forever, but you also have infinite inevitably. I agree with that. The first few times I played against control with this deck, the games felt, from an emotional perspective, a lot more hopeless than they were actually playing out in practice. Like, the number of times I've, like, played games where, like, they've had, like, a Teferi, an Ugin, and a Liliana sit in play for multiple turns is... And then you just, like, come back and win anyways is, like, really impressive. Yeah, I think you're right. I should have attacked their Rejuvenator too. I agree, Limb Nursery, that like losing my 1/1 is worth killing their Teferi, or it's a potential free point of damage. Esper and losing the late game. Yeah, yikes. Chat, my 5-year-old starts kindergarten on Friday and I feel incredibly old. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. Yeah, that's weird too, right? I thought it was weird that they start on a Friday too. I was like, that's really strange. Fast Hero is a little scary, honestly. My students are always 18 to 22 and I just keep getting older, right? What's up with that? Yeah, I think we're in for that, right? I didn't know it is up to this month, so I thought I'd stick with Old Faithful. Thanks for the 4 months, Strange Magic. I appreciate that. This is my full-time job, and folks like you are the reason I'm able to keep that, so I appreciate you keeping me around.
Try this.
My wife's a teacher and says that kids going from summer to a 5-day week to start is pretty jarring. You know, that actually makes a lot of sense. It actually makes a lot of sense. I think if they want to effectively trade their entire hero for the shifting Ceratops, I'm okay with that. I think I'm also okay. Like, so here's the question. Do I want to give them a window to discard my Yarok? I think I'm okay with that. So another reason, so like this hits Teferi for damage, which is valuable, so I'm denying them a card draw. This exposes Yarok to a discard spell, but notably because I'm doing this and not playing a 5-drop this turn, it lets me get Field of the Dead into play, and getting Field into play against decks that have access to Unmoored Ego is often critical. I've accomplished a lot more in life than you at the same age. I mean, if you think about it, I play video games for the entertainment of other people on the internet. So, like, what have I really accomplished, really, right? Like, 14-year-old Jeff would be incredibly proud of 28-year-old Jeff. I mean, I'm definitely living the dream, but I'm, like, incredibly fortunate to be here. Thought Erasure is a fun and interesting card. Yeah, I agree. The fact that I did not have a Noxious Grasp to deal with their hero on 2 ended up being a big deal. I also think the fact that, like, we haven't drawn any spells this game is a big deal, but, you know, I can't really control that aspect of it. Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards Growth Spiral over Erasure, but I'm not sure. I feel like being a little bit more linear game 1 seems ideal. Might just be dead here. You've enjoyed having Erasure over Spiral. Yeah, so like one of the problems is that a card like Thought Erasure, a card like Growth Spiral it's like an unimpressive card for the most part. It's not something that you really phone home about, so to speak. So like when the games that it wins for you, it's like very quietly winning, right? Like I feel like it's very easy to undervalue what Growth Spiral is doing for you. Nah, I think boarding in more removal is an overreaction to what happened that game. I have 7 removal spells in my deck right now post board for Hero, and I think that's fine. Not only was I on the draw that game while my opponent had a fast start, but I just didn't have any spells, right? I think changing my game plan based on the results of that game is incorrect. Like it felt bad, and it feels bad to be like, well, maybe I could have done something there, but the reality of the situation is I think it's fine. It might be right to play Hinterland Harbor here, but holding up Trophy lets me trophy a hero, which is nice. Playing the Swamp, though, as opposed to the Hinterland Harbor makes it less likely that I can play this on 4 guaranteed. Although, probably not going to have it anyways now, so it doesn't really matter. Really? Okay. Okay. Is there another Thought Erasure in my future opponent? Feels like Thought Erasure 2, the Electric Boogaloo, is coming up. I could have played the Forest untapped, which then makes this untapped, but I think that's like not really what I want to be doing with my life. I think that gives them information about what I drew this turn. So like, if they don't know I have this forest, they might make a percentage play on turn 5, hoping I can't cast this on my turn 5. So concealing the fact that I'm guaranteed able to cast this if they don't take it away from me is worthwhile. Although I guess playing that gives that up, huh? Maybe I'm supposed to play Drowned Catacombs for that same reason. I feel like Crucible in this deck is significantly worse than Tamiyo. Have you tested Veil of Summoner's deck as a way to hedge against opposing Egos, Legions, and Deputies? I think all of the decks that are playing Egos, Legions, and Deputies tend to be good matchups for this deck, so you don't need Veil of Summer. People are trying to tell me that mac and cheese with too much cheese is super chowder, but cheese sauce is made with the rokes. Is that a rocks or rokes? I don't know how words work. Can somebody help me? Yeah, I'm not currently playing a Tamiyo. That is also true. Rue, it's called Rue. Is that a word? That's not a word. Everybody in chat sounds very confident that it's a word. I don't know if I believe you. We're gonna tuck this in.
No remorse. I'll show time is much more malleable than people think.
Is it crazy to just Nexus here? Yes, because it will shuffle my Cavalier. So let's not do that. Not a word. I have a mod sword, so I'm right.
I'm known for my excellent timing.
Now, this next turn, casting Nexus might be right, because if I make a zombie cast Nexus, I can likely kill this Teferi.
No time for a break.
Look at you. You're so well trained, Hoaglandia.
Oh, I've done the hero thing.
Linking me sources. What is this internet culture? I'm being linked sources. Docs X Machina, thank you for the... Oh, no. Just my poor Cavalier, chat. My poor Cavalier. Dos X Machina, thank you for the brand new tier 1 sub. Welcome back. I appreciate the support. And again, like, this is one of the games that, like, feels pretty bad and helpless, but, like, I feel like we're actually not dead from here. So we're gonna play on. It's gonna feel really bad, but I don't think we're just dead and gone. Longtime YouTube viewer finally subscribed to say yes. It's Rue, pronounced Rue. Excellent. Now, a 2/3 here is actually incredibly good for them because it stonewalls my 2/2s from pressuring their planeswalkers.
Don't worry, I got this.
Thought Erasure these. Come at me, bro. Come at me. Feels a little spooky. So, like, they put a stop on my draw step, and it felt like they paused long enough there for the stream to catch up. We are playing against someone in the top 100 of the ladder. This is probably very serious business for them. You said you used to do a lot of Excel macro work. Any recommended learning resources on the topic? Yeah, what's it called is a great resource. Stack Overflow. I just did a lot of Googling. Is my old blog spot still back up? So, if I could type. So I would be willing to bet dollars to donuts that a lot of it hasn't changed. So, like, when I was working in corporate America, I just archived all of the macro tricks that I used over and over again on this blogspot page. I don't know if any of those will end up being useful to you, but they were useful to me. The opponent put a draw step stop, and then there was a couple second pause after we drew a land, and then they did nothing. Ha! Nice, Dannon. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe they don't have it and there's not going to be. There's another draw step pause. Yeah, there's another draw step pause. And we drew a spell, so this time they're going to cast Thought Erasure. Alright, yeah, we're done. Listen. Sometimes they need it way more than you do. And if that ladder match means that much to my opponent, they need the match win way more than we do. I would appreciate it if we don't call my opponent names, though. It's welcome to call a spade and say that was likely someone ghosting, but this is just a children's card game, chat. I promise you that ghosting isn't some big capital offense. Heck, ghosting isn't even against the terms of service for Arena. So, like, you know, don't be upset with my opponent for doing something that is within the rules to get ahead. It's just, it is bad manners. I would agree with that. Calling it bad manners is accurate and excellent. I mean, to be fair, they were playing Esper, so they probably need every leg up they can get, right? Yeah, and when you bring up the fact that ghosting isn't against the terms of service, you'll have a bunch of people who always make the bad faith argument that they can't put it in the terms of service because it's unenforceable, but there's a bunch of unenforceable things in terms of service documents, so, like, they totally could. We have a full day of tuning this deck with different options for the tournament like you did with the Alley Mine deck. Nah, Dedo. I think I'm gonna play this deck every day this week, but that's about it. So I think I want to play field first here, because this way if I hit a differently named land into another field, we can get some stuff going. If they need to ghost to win meaningless matches of a card game, their life is a lot harder than yours, mine, and I hope a bunch of chat. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. This deck has some very just like powerful linear draws, and honestly, generating those powerful kind of linear draws is a reason to keep Growth Spiral, right? How does this deck do against Scape Shift? I think this deck is a very good Bant Scape Shift matchup. Not only do we get to play Ego out of the sideboard and Legion's End, but our deck can put more zombies out a lot of the time. Wish me luck on admitting to my mistake of getting a mechanical engineering degree and starting my master's in computer science this month. Thank you for the 2 months of support, Stratocaster. I appreciate it. Hope your degree goes well. Taking Yarok there is a bold proposition. Yeah, we also get to play Trophy, which is great. I would like 2 more Risen Reef triggers, please and thank you. Oh, you know what? I should have activated my Field of Rune. I'm going to activate my fields here, so that way I don't accidentally draw my last basic. Thurgus! Thank you for the 4 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I'm glad to see people who have to ghost to win get into the MCQ. That means they're almost guaranteed to lose when they don't have perfect info. You're not wrong. I mean, they almost certainly have more deputies at attention in their deck, but I feel like we're probably going to create an insurmountable advantage at this point in the long term. All right, sure. And like, we haven't even been fortunate enough to hit a second field yet, and like we already have this many things. Yeah, Yarok double Reef is nice and gross. Yeah, this build doesn't care nearly as much about a deputy detention. And like, none of our creatures care about getting put under a deputy because we have so much removal. Drawing the second Disfigure there is actually kind of sweet, because otherwise Disfigure is kind of bad in this matchup. Well, I guess that's not strictly true. You could Disfigure one of your zombies in response to a deputy trigger and save it. I feel like the only way we lose this game from here is my opponent having Scape Shift and then untapping and having another deputy. But if they don't go exactly Scape Shift in the deputy, we should be pretty far ahead here. And honestly, maybe that's a reason to hold the Witch Figures. Important to remember that Trophy can't destroy our own things, so we can't use Assassin's... Oh, we can trophy the Deputy in response, so then his trigger doesn't do anything, right? Yeah, that's definitely a lie. Because Deputy Detention is templated like a lot of these newer things are templated, where if you destroy it in response to its trigger, it never exiles the stuff it's targeting. This is 16 zombies. And cranking Blast Zone up proactively is good too. Yeah, but they're not going to deputy this turn because they want to deputy the turn they're going to attack for lethal. Because if they were to deputy this turn, I would just rebuild next turn immediately. Sorry for not making that clear. Alright, so we're playing Rejuvenator first here, because this Rejuvenator is fairly likely to find another Field of the Dead, which can let this make extra zombies. You know, I think I'm actually going to take Thornwood Falls here, just because 2 extra life can sometimes be the difference between dying to zombies and not dying to zombies. If you click on the 8, it'll declare all the zombies in the pile as attackers. These growth spirals can also potentially save us from anything too bad happening. These blocks are great for us because they imply that my opponent does not have another deputy. Big Show, thanks for the 2 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. All right, with that happening, let's just spiral in response here twice and hopefully kill them next turn. Although, actually, I think I just hang tight. Because if I play this other growth spiral, I won't be able to... If I play the other growth spiral, I can't crank this to 3. And I think cranking this to 3 is important here. Hey, F-Nord, something for Yarok Field. What do you think of unclaimed territory in place of Hinterland Harbor or Temple of Mystery? More untapped land helps 3 mana accelerators. I think this deck is already borderline not enough colored sources of mana. And I think cutting a spell that helps cast Assassin's Trophy and Growth Spiral for one that doesn't is generally a mistake. Like, for a deck that plays as many lands as this deck plays, the mana base is not particularly good. We're never gonna see them field me here, because I only have the 1 Field of Dead in play. The fact that we haven't found a second field in half our deck is kind of a big deal, and they found a bunch. I also don't have another basic in my deck. This is just a wasteland. This makes them 3 more zombies. So they have 14, we have 7, but I have Yarok, which is helpful. I had Yarok, which is helpful. I don't really have anything good to bounce here, right? They can, like, bounce a 2-2. I'm unsure how I feel about Thought Erasure or not, so I'm playing more games with both. That attack's real bad with my 3-5. So I'm gonna wait to play that land, because I actually, maybe I should have done this first. Yeah, I probably should have done this first. And again, not going to play this out because I would prefer... I'd prefer to play it once I have a field in play. If I play this, I can still activate Blast Zone. So yeah, I'm going to do this as just a blocker. Extra 0-3s block their 2-2s inside of combat. They still don't have great attacks here. Trophy 2 fields. Trophying 2 fields here gives them a lot of extra blockers, right? Yeah, honestly, maybe I should have played another Grazer there. So, like, have another free blocker. Another good interface highlight there for people that haven't seen that before. You click all your blockers, then click on their number, and it blocks them all 1-to-1. Things like that are key for, like, saving time in these pseudo mirrors.
Trust me, I have a plan.
That's rough. Really would love a Cavalier of Thorns here. Cavalier of Thorns would probably make us more zombies than they're ever going to get the rest of this game. Alright. Alright, can we survive a turn? We're not that on board, right? This is a 2. You messed around with Golos builds to go get fields reliably. I don't feel like this deck has a problem getting fields reliably. I think even games like this where we've kind of been unfortunate, we've still been winning a lot of the time. Yeah, Golos is significantly worse than both Yarok and, is that dead? That's 6. I'm effectively at 19. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blockers. I'm not dead on board. Yeah, Arcane Adaptation was never good.
This might be a bad idea.
That's lethal. That's unfortunate. This matchup's good, but good doesn't mean unlosable. Especially not just a single game. So, that game was a pretty good combination of the fact that, like, both my opponent had a lot of their meaningful disruption there, combined with the fact that we never found a second field in the top half of our deck, which is going to happen sometimes. Sometimes you're going to run a little bad. Yep, only game 1. Plenty more games to play. To bring in Legion's End, Unmoored Ego, and just like a Miser Noxious Grasp here. Seems fine. Yeah, I mean, like, this archetype's really good. So, like, if you just, like, put 2 bad cards that are archetype that do something funny, the deck's, like, still fine. I think it's good. It seems like more than good. It's great. This. So there was also a turn, Marty, where if I chose not to double Growth Spiral to play around something else, where I would have gotten a deeper card sooner, and that might have helped me as well. I agree, Cummy Pizza. Work on the drawing the field of the dead when it matters part. I think it's always right to play Risen Reef in this situation. This means I play my 5 sooner, but I usually want to play this before Yarok anyway, so I think that's fine. Magic on Twitch has had some really low viewership lately. Yeah, it has. The current state of Magic on Twitch is the lowest hype has been in my experience since what's it called was added. I think I just want to get lots of Field of the Dead here. The fact that I have a duplicate, or since Arena went in open beta, since I have a duplicate breeding pool, this might be wrong, but having lots of field is good in this matchup in general. Yeah, I definitely think people being spent related to rotation is part of it. 100% agree on that. Which is why it's really important that the new non-rotating format be more than just a throwaway, in my opinion. I actually like this format a lot better than before M20 released, but people are just ready for some change. For sure. Only had 3 Cavalier and 2 Yarok, so I've been running Tamiyo and Golgari Queen and a Classy Duplicate, and it's fine. Yeah, we've played less than 4 Cavaliers in earlier builds. I think 3 Yarok's the minimum, though. I think at a minimum, you want 3 Yarok. Yeah, I don't think you're alone in those types of feelings, Simic. Do not think you are anywhere near alone. Yeah, Cube Draft could be sweet. Lots of different things they could do that would all be better with more cards. Like, if they just back added Kaladesh and we had, like, you know, 13 sets come fall, you could probably do a pretty reasonable cube with 13 sets.
Let's slow this down. Nothing.
Doing things like Vintage Cube is unrealistic. That's like, as much as I love what Tulare Community College does, and I think he's a good voice for the community, when I posted about standard and hoping about historic, and he responded with, why not just put all these other formats on arena? Like, that's a completely unrealistic stance to take from a programming perspective. Like, I don't think Wizards of the Coast doesn't want to have those things if they were easy to do, but pretending they're easy to do is incredibly disingenuous. Or shows a misunderstanding of how software development works, at best. That is true. Why doesn't this make foil zombies? I suddenly feel robbed. If they have scape shift here, we might be in trouble. Part of my ignorance, can you not port the code of Frenzy Joe? No, you can't. If it was easy to copy and paste the code for Magic Online into a better looking client, it would have been done a decade ago. It's just, things like that are a great example of the fundamental misunderstanding to which I am referring and how software works. Yeah, if we kill Teferi, we can Nexus in response to them scape shifting, so that's good. And if I attacked with the Yarok here to encourage them to scape shift aggressively to block, so that way I can Legions end them. WotC has said in the past the goal is to quit supporting MTGO by 2022. I'm going to need you to cite a source on that, Conqueror. You've got 5 minutes to cite a credible source, you're getting a 10-minute break. You've been warned, go. Because I read a lot of Magic content and I've never heard that. 2022. Yeah, most reasonable people don't like MTGO. I mean, they definitely have a veto, but they also didn't make enough zombies here to really be that scary. Especially if they're going to ambush the Sharok. All right, sweet. Yeah, this scape shift doesn't really do anything, right? Shame we're one land short from casting the Cavalier as well. Prime time for Yarok. Dingo Dante, thank you for the 4 months of support there. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. You're having a good one wherever you are. Field is sweet because it's instant speed zombies. Which, worth noting, my opponent also has some instant speed zombies sitting on board in their own field of Rune. Maybe I'm supposed to attack with Yarok here, too. Root, huh? I think I'm supposed to field them here. Although the ability to make instant... Nah, I'm just going to let this happen. I'm just going to wait and hold up the ability to make instant speed zombies on my side. Torcat, thank you for Thank you for the 13 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Field their Field of Rude. Nah, I don't think that's very good. Yep. Oh, you know what? I should have left this breeding pool up. Okay, it doesn't matter. Because if I hit running untapped lands, I could have Nexus of Fated here. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's a reason I didn't think about that. That's a reason to use my field aggressively there, is because I'm about to flip 10 cards, which means I'm incredibly likely to hit my third basic. So yeah, I think the probabilistic play there is I should have fielded their field in response to that route, because I'm pretty likely to clear past my last basic in that spot. Big crisis here. Nah, they're leaving up veto. They keep leaving up veto. Yeah, I agree. We're not super, like, the position we're in is fine here. Nah, frag him, Marty. Frag him. Yeah, the Nexus is in there so we don't deck out. If they counter this, they're dead. We get to look at their hand now. They have triple Dovin's veto. Triple Dovin's veto. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will be an untapped land here. So we'll do this. So now I can activate Arc. All right, so they didn't leave up mana to Growth Spiral here, so that's really good for us. So if I attack with everything, the question I have to ask myself is, if they triple block this, do they die? So if they block 3 here, block 1 here, go block, block, they only take 20. So if I attack with this, they can triple block it and not die. So I think that's not ideal. Casting both Legion's End and Nexus were lethal. You might be right. Because they would have had to veto one of those, and then... Yeah, I think you're correct, Rodford. Yeah, that looks like that math works. So if I don't cast this, I could do both of these. Yeah, you're super right. Thank you for pointing that out. Oh, this is a tight line. This is a good line for the opponent. I'm gonna decline putting these things into play. Yeah, so I punted lethal and they're gonna have a shot now. Which is on me. Love the Yarok field deck. Take my Bezo Bucks. Thanks for the 5 months, Flame Emancipator. Hey, appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for the 16 months, Weeb Army. I agree. This deck is incredibly sweet. Hope you're having a wonderful Monday wherever you're out in the world. Yeah, just Deputy. I mean, lands make them blockers, but just Deputy isn't enough in the long term. You're correct. And the problem now is they have enough mana that they can double veto, so I can't, like, force things through here. Unbanned Twin, checking in for the 19th month in a row. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Oh, and this makes them zombies too, sure. Def not Nivik Sisters Prime. Thanks for the 12 months, buddy. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Alright, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I can cast Nexus and Yarok this turn. So let's ship with the squad. If they want to triple block Yarok, I can play second Yarok. Gaining some life here is good. Growth Spiral, sure. Zaffa, thank you for the third of the year support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. And again, I'm in a worse spot than I otherwise would be this game because I miss lethal. So if they stack block these Cavalier of Thorns, they're gonna let me put good cards on top of my deck to get back with Yarok, which is not, or to then draw with Yarok for the Risen Reef triggers, which is nice. And I don't really know that Gleaming Overseer gives zombies. It gives zombies hexproof, right? Yeah, I don't think that's super necessary. I think we're ahead. We're ahead to a lot of these matchups. All right, so the first thing you stack with Cavalier goes on the top of the deck is the best way to remember. So I'm going to put a Risen Reef. I think we're actually just getting double Reef here. Yeah, I think that's the plan, actually. Not another field? Now there's 2 fields in my deck. Now, there is a blast zone sitting in play here, so there's going to be the question to ask myself, like, do I want to play the other Reef out and, like, let them all get blast zoned away? I'm not sure that I do. Mox Tangerine, thank you for the 15-month support in the very generous tier 2 resub. Welcome back. Zanman! Thank you for the 12 months of support. I appreciate the entire year. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. How many cards do we have in deck? We have 12. This is a good example of why I didn't get another field from my discard pile with the Cavalier and instead just got more things to draw cards. No, we've Infinite Nexus before in this deck a couple of times. Yeah, the scroll arrow for lands. We made serious business. We have 2 untapped ones here. Does this work now? No, you can't. So this is a bug that I really wish they'd fix. Once you arrow over, you can't arrow back.
Don't worry, I got this.
Hey, Alec, thanks for the 4 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Hope you're having a good one wherever you are. And remember, this is still that really long game where I punted lethal. So, like, if I had played better here, we wouldn't even be playing this game. Any hope that WotC will they do with the Eldrazi ban and unban multiple other things, an apology for rooting modern? Uncertain. Uncertain. Wow, that was just a straight up mill 5. Alright, yikes. Let's get this guy out of here, shall we?
We will meet again.
My opponent has less than 12 minutes on their match timer. Seems good for us. My opponent has 21 cards. I have 3 cards. Hey, there's their 4th Field of Dead. My match timer hasn't popped up yet. I have 14 minutes. I have a little bit more than the opponent. I don't have a Tamiyo in my 75 right now. We ended up cutting here. Why is no Tamiyo game? Can you explain? They don't have any more vetoes that we know about, so we're through the 3 vetoes that we knew about. That's a lot of zombies. They're out of lands, okay. Okay, they're out of basics and gates. Well, that's a good hit. I'm gonna do the Risen Reef first this time. Oh, look, we get to scry one. There's 1 card in our deck, and we get to scry one. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! They have a... Oh, I fucked it up. They have a Teferi, so I fucked it up. I can't cast this. Alright, so we punted. I punted that twice. I punted that twice. The deck... And again, this is why we talk about, like, the actual results of the matches I don't care about. Just, like, thinking about how the games go. So, normally, you could Nexus during your upkeep, but Teferi Hero of Hearthstone was in play. So, that wasn't an option there. So, we are 100% to win that game if I don't... Like, I missed exactly lethal earlier, and then I need to not play the Cavalier there. So, that's good. Teferi Hero of Hearthstone. Only 59 weeks, 3 days, 12 hours, 46 minutes, and 9 seconds until he rotates, thereabouts. Not that anybody's counting, though. I was having a good Monday until I saw the impending enormity of the Teferi timer. Yeah. Sorry. That's fine. We've played some fun games of Magic. We've learned a little bit. Learning is the ultimate goal, chat. Learning is the goal. Ooh, this is actually a good lesson. I should have played Woodland Cemetery on 1, so I could have played Tapped Land Disfigure on 2. Small missequencing of my lands here to start. Which that could end up being a big deal. So I don't know this. Untapped lands are a hot commodity in this deck. Perfect. I feel like we're a pretty strong favorite against any creature ramp deck, because what the creature ramp decks do to go over the top of what we're doing just doesn't really compete. Niv with the tree fitty. So the support, I appreciate it. If I wanted to play Hearthstone, I'd played Hearthstone, because at least in Hearthstone, both players are playing it. Yikes, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And my sequencing earlier with my lands not having this in play, I actually don't have an untapped blue source right now. I guess I can field to get an untapped blue source.
I know I noted this somewhere.
Oh, they're going infinite with Nexus. That's an interesting way to go over the top of what we're doing. I can see that being a problem for us. It's hard for us to go over them if we're not getting a turn. I could see what the opponent is attempting to do being very good. Yeah, manipulation is... All the creature ramp decks are manipulation. We don't really care about that card. Yeah, the mana base in the next deck we're gonna play today is, let's call it ambitious. What's going on, Neil Drox? Now, this is the style of matchup where having access to Thought Erasure would be very good, I think. I'm not convinced on where I fall versus Growth Spirals and Thought Erasures currently. Honestly, I might just rotate which we play every day this week just to get a better feel for it. Machu Axe! Finally got a sword. Any thoughts on a triggers emote? Because that's your favorite thing to say while playing this deck. And what does it look like is the question. Like, we might just see them start naming Nexus of Fate here. I might just not get another turn. Like, with Tamiyo plussing every turn from here, I might just not get another turn. I mean, if I had a Thought Erasure, we would have taken the Tamiyo before they cast it. It's like something to note.
To the library.
All right, they missed on Nexus of Fate that time. We got that going for us. They get to double quasi-duplicate Cavalier. Yeah, they're gonna get to a point where they're just Nexusing every turn very soon, huh? Because this thins their deck out. Hey, glad you're enjoying it, Bloodbath. I appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me around. Oh, geez, they had a blue source here. They get to quasi-duplicate it again? Yeah, Nexus of Fate. At least Nexus is rotating in, At least Nexus of Fate is rotating very soon. Oh, let's stand up for a bit. Oh. Simic Nexus isn't really a thing anymore because the power level of the Nexus of Fate deck isn't that high. So the only people who are really still playing it are people who really love casting that card. And there aren't that many people who genuinely love casting Nexus of Fate. Good chance we don't get another turn from here. They get to quasi-duplicate a Cavalier of Thorns, then plus a Tamiyo. Although, like, how do they beat me from there? I guess they can just, like, put back a mass manipulation and take my stuff. I mean, all the uses of Nexus are really neat until they're commonplace. Nexus of Fate's the type of card that, like, it should be a neat card. It should never be a tier 1 card.
I think you will find my notes helpful.
So I'm going to concede when they get Nexus of Fate here. Yep. Yeah, they can endlessly ram Cavaliers in. Bring in Grasp, bring in Ego. And we have 4 trophies and we're going up 3 Grasps. We have a lot of ways to interact with Tamiyo post-board. That game was tough, but I don't know that this matchup seems that difficult on paper. Let's see how the post-board game plays out. You're not wrong, God King. Manually floating mana with Wilderness Reclamation is kind of rough. Oh, audio bugs. Audio bug, bug. 3-drop ramp spell is great. Do. The previous audio bug was different than what that was. Time to play my favorite game. How unlucky were we? Alright, there are 52 cards in my deck. 24 of them were lands. We looked at 5. We were 96.2% to find a land there. We are the 4% chat. Tiny claps all around. Tiny claps all around. How lucky. Why, pumpkins, thank you for the entire year of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Or you all are not familiar with that calculation I just did? That is what we refer to as a hypergeometric distribution calculator. It tells you the probability of getting a specific outcome depending on a variety of different inputs. If you're more of an academic who's never taken a stats class before, doing some reading on introductory statistical analysis, like understanding basic geometric distribution, basic distributions like that can be helpful for some calculations related to Magic the Gathering if you want to get into the more math side a little bit. Our draw not particularly coming together well here. We're going to drop Arc and make a zombie, and that'll activate Arc here. But if my opponent has anything meaningful going on, we're going to have a real bad time at this point. Yeah, Quasi-Duplicate with Risen Reef is really good. I wonder how the opponent's deck holds up against things like vampires. It seems like they don't have any cheap removal, and their average start's probably going to be a little bit slow. Although I guess they have a lot of 1 and 2 mana acceleration. So maybe they're okay. Sir Blarga, thank you for the brand new Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. I'll do second Cavalier to start here. Temple of Malady. Shocking in the Tomb allows us to trophy. What are we interested in trophying? Just like Tamiyo at this point? Hey, Trent. Thanks for the 4 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I missed the Primal Amulet deck too. I should probably slot the Tamiyo back in. Tamiyo's very good in these grindy matchups, and having an extra card that's good here is probably worthwhile. So, I didn't currently have enough lands to trigger Field Executor. So, if I play Cavalier first and get a field, it wouldn't make any zombies. Whereas by playing the land first, I get a land which makes a zombie. And then if I get a second field, it makes 2 more zombies. So in this instance, it's correct to play the land first because it's turning on the fields to start. If that makes sense. I don't know that we can really come back from here. They don't really need a Jace. They can just, like, attack in a Cavalier, and then eventually you kill their Cavalier, and then they put a Mass Manipulation back on top of their deck and take your board to attack you. Zentis, thanks for the 15 months of Reese's subscription there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Scooter, happy Monday. Hope your weekend treated you swell. Thanks for the very generous sub gifties as always. This deck, I struggle to figure out whether to play out Yarok first, an empty board, or Cavalier or Reef first when I only have 5 lands. Thoughts. My thoughts are, like every meaningful decision related to Magic the Gathering, that what's correct to do in those situations is contextual. It's contextual to if your opponent has removal spells, likely. It's contextual to what the board state looks like. It's contextual to which lands you have in play. It's contextual to what other spells are in your hand. Yeah, I'm gonna concede at this point. Feels like this is pretty far gone. They're gonna start looping Nexuses real soon. I would bet the Nexus matchup is hard for this deck on average. I think I'm going to be done with this for today. We had like a middling result. Our actual match wins would have been higher if I hadn't thrown the match against Bant in the garbage, and if we hadn't been ghosted against the what's it called player, the Esper player. I think I'm going to put Thought Erasure back in for tomorrow and get a feel for that, because I think a lot of these mid-range games that we played, Thought Erasure would have been better than Growth Spiral on average, although I do think Growth Spiral is probably a bit better against aggro. And I'm also going to slot the Tamiyo back in for the same reason. I feel like the more I play those mid-range matchups, while I do think we're still ahead, I think having cards like this helps us win those games more often, so I want to include it. We're going to be playing this one every day this week as one of the standard decks each day. So I'm playing it in the MCQ this weekend, so you get lots of chances to try different things and slide them all around. Today, we're going to move on to another Yarok deck, which is a little bit different. How does Gaia's Blessing stop me from decking Bellathor? Explain. Instead of me telling you you're wrong, tell me why you're right. Explain to me how that does what Nexus does, but better. Cast Down is very good in the Jund Dinos matchup, Duran. Which I think is one of the harder matchups for the Yarok deck overall. I think the Sultai Yarok deck, Yarok Field, whatever you want to call it, is good against vampires, and it's good against Bant Scape Shift, and it's good against Esper. I think it struggles with Nexus of Fate, and it struggles with Jund Dinos. Oh yeah, there's no basics in this deck. This deck does not like Starbucks.